Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Politics Relaxed. It's been a bit of a while, and we've had an exciting few days, both in terms of the podcast and in terms of the Tory leadership race. I'm not talking about the podcast, so we're talking about the Tory leadership race. How many are we down to? Is it 5? I can't count.
5.
5, yeah, it is 5. So we're going to go through. I'm sure everybody is backing somebody, especially considering we've got 3 Tories. I'll introduce Jack. Welcome. To anybody that doesn't know.
Hello,
Jack. So let's get started. Who's everyone backing? Cameron, have you decided?
Well, it took many days of internal conversation and internal debate
between you and your conscience.
But
just like
I wouldn't say
Sajid
conscience. I would say my convictions and what I've concluded after all these days and looking at the pledges and watching the debates is I think Rishi Sunak is the right man to be the next Prime Minister, and I think that because he's levelling with the people about the serious economic issues.
Have you not seen the video going around where he says, I've got friends. You've seen that video,
yeah,
right?
But that video is from that video is from 2001, and that's not at all related to what I'm talking about. He's levelling with the people about the serious economic challenges that we're facing, and now isn't the time to be caught up in an ideological thrust, which is, I think, what candidates like Liz Truss are really promoting. My 3 principles when it comes to politics. We need to build a society based on fluidity, an economy based on meritocracy, and we need to build a state built on pragmatism. And at the moment, I think Rishi Sunak is the one that is meeting that principle of the state based on pragmatism. We have to have a state that is not acting based on ideological thrust and cutting taxes just because it is seen as the traditional conservative thing to do. We have to look at a new way of doing things. I think Rishi Sunak's the right man to drive that pragmatic approach.
Rajan, you backed Sajid originally. He didn't last very long, did he?
Yeah, and that was really sad. It was sad to see.
You sound so serious. You sound so genuine when you say how bad it was.
I know, but as with Cameron as well, I spent many days of deliberation, weighing all the options up, and I can announce that I now back Tom Tugendhat for leader. And the reason
you're backing the next loser. So you're backing the person who's going out next round. I mean,
although yes, he does seem like he is on the way out, which I'm very sad to go out. The reason I would back him, and I still do, hopefully he doesn't go out, but it looks like that is what's going to happen. The reason is, if we look at 2024, who would be the best person to lead us into the next general election? For me, that is Tom Tugendhat all the way. Rishi Sunak, he still has ammunition that could be launched upon him by Labour, such as the dodgy tax, such as the working class friends debacle around that area. I'm not doubting that Rishi Sunak is a competent politician. I think he would do a real good job for the country. I honestly believe Sunak would do a good job, but I'm just looking at the general election in 2024. Get Tugendhat in, fresh face. You can put Rishi Sunak as Chancellor again if you want to. And I believe that is an election-winning combination.
Nice. There's a lot of background noise going on there, so we apologise for that. Jack, as the final, we'll go to the final Tory of the Tory 3. What's your new name?
I was originally with Ben Wallace, but he decided not to run, so that was quite a sad day for me.
Lasted even less long than Saj.
Yeah, I think a lot of people around the country were a bit disappointed when he announced he wasn't running, but I guess he's happy where he is, and obviously personal reasons. But now for me, I am backing the losing candidate. I'm with Tom Tugendhat personally. I think he offers the fresh slate that none of the other candidates can offer. The other candidates, their economical knowledge is very limited. Right now, we need kind of someone that's going to make the harsh decisions, much like Thatcher in 79 and the 81 autumn statement. And the rest of them, I mean, they haven't got a clue of what's going on really, and how they're going to solve it. I mean, half of them are proposing underfunded tax cuts. Liz Truss said that she's going to prioritize economic growth, which is the last thing we want at the moment, because that's just going to cause more inflation. But I guess she hasn't worked that one out yet. So for me, it's Tom. Although he hasn't had any government experience, he has built a government in Afghanistan. None of the rest of them have done that. His military knowledge is ideal right now for the Ukraine situation. And really, I think he came out best in the live TV debate. So I'm sticking with Tom right now, but he won't win. So
I mean, what about Penny Mordaunt's great experience in the Navy? We all know how she was actually in the real Navy, right? She wasn't.
She hasn't done anything really. I think
she did. I mean, she was basically
honorary commander, honorary captain. I mean, fair enough. Look, fair enough. She's a reservist. Got to give her that. And
she was a reservist. She's no longer.
She's not anymore. Right. Okay. Well,
look, but she has the most military experience, according to her, out of all of the candidates.
Well, out of the original list, Jeremy Hunt had the most experience, but I mean, he went almost instantly. So yeah, I think Penny may be in the final two, and I think she may win, unfortunately, because she's one of the most popular at the moment with the party, and Sunak's not popular at all.
Sunak's not winning.
People can't disassociate him with Boris because they think that he's the same, and he may be similar, but I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Well, I just wanted to talk about the main issues in this campaign for a bit, which obviously the most prominent one is the economy right now with the cost of living crisis and everything, of which it seems to be like Rishi Sunak versus everyone else in this context with the cutting taxes and that most of the candidates have talked about with then Rishi bucking that trend. And I'm a low tax guy in general, but I've gone through that before. But in this context, with the inflation and everything, I'm not sure if that's the best course of action here, especially if the alternative is borrowing a lot of money, because that's something I like even less than the taxes, which I suppose puts me more on the Rishi Sunak camp. But
look, Cameron, yeah, Rishi.
But I can't say that I'm backing Rishi. I mean, before I said I was closer to Penny Mordaunt's side, although after the debate, I'm not so sure about that, because she didn't really have much to say.
There's a lot of candidates with not very much to say. I mean, Truss has gone from being a liberal Democrat to now being the right-wing candidate in this race, and then Penny.
I don't know why the media seems to be making the trans issue very prominent in this campaign, and I don't know why, because it's not exactly very prominent at the moment, and it's only Penny Mordaunt that has had a history with it, to be honest. And
although I swear the three of them have been, is it three? Have been equalities minister?
Yeah, Truss, Badenoch, and Penny. Well, was Penny equalities? I don't know.
Yeah, I think she was.
Okay. Yeah. Of which Badenoch and Truss are then teaming up against Penny there, as we saw in the debate. So yeah, that's how it lies.
I'm backing who I think will be the winning candidate, which is Liz Truss. Because I want Labour to win the next general election, and that's my number one motive right now. I couldn't care less who it really is. It's like picking between, I don't know. It's not a good choice. Let's just say that. I'm not happy with any of them really, but I like Truss because I think she'll create the biggest kind of bin fire that Labour will be left to extinguish after the next general election. Although I'd be happy with Rishi because that guy will never win a general election again. And then there's Penny, who, I mean, she's all right. Penny. she's not gonna. I'm not really worried by many of the candidates. Tom Tugendhat, I think, would be a personality clash between him and Keir, because they seem they're similar in terms of demeanor, in terms of how they act, and I think that would mean that he could challenge Keir Starmer quite well. And then you're Kemi. I don't. Is it even worth talking about if Kemi Badenoch would run a general election campaign at this point? Probably not. So I'm backing Liz and her bin fire, because I want Keir Starmer to win the next general election. Although if I was picking a serious candidate, it would be Tom Tugendhat.
Tugendhat. He's everyone says he did very well in debate on.
I just wish he'd hire a good logo designer. Was my only gripe with his campaign. I don't know if anybody's logo, but some interesting choices.
I'm going to buck the standard here, because I thought the debate on Friday, Tom Tugendhat was just like the rest of them, with not having a lot to say most of the time, and the crowd was very much on his side, and I'm not entirely sure why.
It was floating voters, really, which made it more interesting, I think, because the crowd was apparently made up of floating voters. Whether we can believe that or not is up to everybody else. But they're not going to back. I think that was what was interesting to me. They're not going to back somebody who's too close to Boris, I think.
Well, Tom Tugendhat is making it very clear that he's the anti-Boris candidate.
And I think he was bolder with his answers. I saw a tweet on this on how to plagiarize it, which was, he's the outside candidate. It's easier for him to be bolder. My brother's coming into the room. And I also he was bolder, which made him more appealing, I think. I mean, when people are answering questions about Boris Johnson, whether whether he would whether he thought he told the truth, and he was the only one that said no, and I think that's interesting.
Yes.
Little cameo.
Yeah. I'm unconvinced that now is the time for a newbie in number 10.
That is the right time for a newbie.
I have concerns about Tom Tugendhat's ability to grip the inflation crisis. I think that he's very weak on economic policy. I think that when you watch that debate, in my personal opinion, he's someone who is very strong in the areas of foreign and defence policy. But I think that he certainly, if he were to be Prime Minister, needs to work on his economic and social policies. He would have to develop them further for me to try and support him. I think that he's got a personality well suited to service, and I think that that's definitely a positive attribute. And I think all the candidates, bar Liz Truss, who I do not think is anywhere near the right material for number 10. They have a lot of quality attributes to them, and I think that the debate actually on Friday showed, and hopefully the debate tonight as well will show the massive wealth and array of talent at the top of the Conservative Party at the moment, and that's certainly what I'm seeing, and that leaves me with a lot of hope going into the following years. To borrow Penny Mordaunt's phrase, it's going to be about the ship, not the leader.
The rats leaving the ship.
It's been all about Boris, and now it's going to be very much about a collectively strong and talented team. And I'm going to look forward to watching that, hopefully, in my view, under Rishi Sunak's leadership, because he's the only person who polling shows will beat Labour.
Well,
I don't think any of them can beat Labour. Just sorry, Piers, I interrupted you, but I don't think any of them can beat Labour.
There isn't. What I was going to say is there isn't exactly a candidate who's embracing a role as a unifier here, a unifier of a party or a unifier of a country. I think each candidate is embracing the divides in the Conservative Party and making their own little cliques out of it. With those on the right, embracing the cultural stuff more than Rishi and the more liberal ones who are just sort of there, and then they're not no one's saying I want to unify this country like in a sort of Joe Biden sort of way.
Well, Rishi's slogan is he wants to reunite the country.
Rishi's got about a million slogans, hasn't he? I mean, have you seen his?
He's got three slogans. He's got three slogans. He wants to restore trust, rebuild the economy, and he wants to reunite the country. He's quite right as well. And the Conservative Party can unite around Rishi Sunak because he's the one with the sensible, pragmatic economic policy who is going to tackle the inflation crisis. I think he is going to win. And do you know why? Because we're going to have a month of hustings between the final two candidates. I don't know why you're laughing.
And Rishi will be
between the final two candidates. And Rishi will be in the final two. No, but actually, the polling is looking up. The polling is looking up for Rishi when it comes to the membership, because he's already demonstrated in the leadership debates that he is the best placed candidate, the best communicator, and the one with the best grip on the inflation crisis to take us forward.
I don't understand how we've managed to get to this place where Rishi Sunak somehow seen as somebody who can solve the inflation crisis. Hasn't he been Chancellor for 2 years, or am I missing something? He was late to do it, to actually deal with the inflation crisis, and he brought in Labour's proposal that they've been proposing for months. I think he's a weak candidate personally, and I don't think he'll win it. He won't win in the membership. He'll get to the final two. He won't win in the membership, whoever he's up against. I don't know how we got to a position where Liz Truss can win this leadership race, and I think Liz Truss will win this leadership debate, and that is a shocking place to be in for the Conservative Party.
I think the thing that Rishi offers that maybe the other candidates don't is that we saw on Friday that he's the only one that's saying, okay, let's not cut tax, let's keep it where it is, or even push it up a bit, because he understands that right now we're in economic turmoil, and the only way to correct that is with contractionary fiscal and monetary policy. He understands that all the other candidates who's playing identity politics and trying to win votes is what the rest of them are doing. They're trying to get the classic Conservatives, let's cut the tax. Rishi understands that cutting taxes is pointless now, because who's going to fund it? Well, we're going to fund it. And the only way to fund a recession is through contractionary fiscal and monetary policy, which is raising interest rates and raising tax. And he understands that from an economic standpoint. And he even said that although, it goes against the Conservative nature, it has to be done, because there's no way to correct the recession that we've been in through the last kind of 2 years-ish. And we're going to still be paying it back, for the next 5 years, just like in 2008. It's the same deal. And the other candidates, Liz Truss, Penny Moore, they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't had the experience. The only really one that has is Kemi, who was she was the Undersecretary of the Treasury or something like that. Rishi is the only one that's kind of, his standpoint on the economy was like, okay, fair enough. You're actually saying let's not cut tax because it's stupid. It's silly.
But do you not think it's a reflection on how bad the other candidates are that they're proposing these? I mean, some of them were proposing frankly ridiculous tax cuts that were going to be like billions and billions of pounds when we don't have that money to spend. I mean, it's more like how bad are these other candidates. I mean, I know Cameron was saying what a wealth of talent was on display, but I just don't buy that at all.
Also, cutting taxes now, it's a silly thing to do, because we have inflation that's what, 9.2, 9.1%.
Yeah.
Cut tax. Okay, what's that going to do? People get higher incomes, then they're going to spend more, they're going to consume more. Aggregate demand is going to rise. It's going to cause more inflation. So what you're just doing is you're just building inflation. That's not what we need. They don't understand. They're thinking short term. They're thinking, let's cut the tax, give people some more money. That's not how economics works. This is a common thing in government. I think it's called policy myopia, is where government officials, they think short term. They don't think long term. And this is the problem we're facing, is that these candidates aren't thinking into the future. They're thinking, I want to be prime minister. How am I going to get in? That's what they're thinking. And that's the problem we're going to have, is we're going to get somebody in office like Truss, who just hasn't a clue.
That's the key point on monetary policy, right? Yeah, and you're right about that. But then also you factor in the fiscal impacts of these tax plans, and the reality is that in order to maintain the same levels of spending that the government is on track to do at the moment, which is increasing, and obviously is a percentage of GDP as well, over 50% in the last couple of years, the only way of funding that is through borrowing. and we can't borrow our way out of inflation. As Rishi Sunak's been saying, that is a fairy tale.
There we go. Pull out the slogan.
And we will lead ourselves into serious debt that young people like us are going to have to pay off for the coming decades, and that is not acceptable in my books.
Talking of young people, there's been a bit of controversy in terms of climate policy.
Yeah.
I mean, the candidate. I mean, there's something in the Conservative Party where there's, especially the right-wing lot, are very anti-climate change. But another thing, let's go round. Who do we think is going to win? Cameron, I think we know you're going to say Rishi. Go and say it.
Rishi's going to win. He's going to win the hearts and minds of Conservative members in the next few months. I think that's quite clear. In the next month, he's already, I think, going to start winning over the public through levelling with them in the debates like he did on Friday and like he'll do tonight. He will deliver the levelling up agenda that he has helped to spearhead over the last couple of years.
Let's wrap it
so
up.
Massive confidence in him.
Piers, who's winning?
This is still a very volatile race. I think Tugendhat and Badenoch will go out, but I think it. Other than that, it could really be anyone in the group of Mordaunt, Sunak, or even Liz Truss.
I'm backing her. I think she'll win.
Which is a wild.
I think Truss will win.
I think Truss does have a better shot than people will give her. Which is,
I think Truss will win because all you've got is, if you look at the numbers, you got all of Kemi Badenoch's votes and all of whoever voted for Suella and whoever voted for Kemi, all those votes together, they're going to Liz Truss because Liz Truss is the right-wing candidate, and all the right-wingers just vote with their kind of right-wing sentiment, and they just want to get their right-wing candidate into the top two. And then you get to the top two, Rishi Sunak won't win against anyone. That's what I think.
She's the Boris candidate.
Yeah, come on, Truss. I believe in you. Rajan, you're next. Who do you think's going to win?
And quite literally anything could happen. Things could literally change overnight.
You chat some rubbish. Let's mute him. Jack, who's going to win?
No. Things could literally change overnight. We will see tonight. Okay, what happens? I hope that people will see through the misconstruction of Liz Truss's arguments and will hopefully vote for another candidate. And hopefully Rishi Sunak will then come through. Obviously, I'll be backing Tugendhat, but Sunak is the man for now.
Jack, who's going to win?
I think, well, if you look at the track record of who the MPs have voted for, currently Conservative MPs aren't reflective of the party members at all. I mean, they seem to be backing Sunak is their favourite. So I think, as obviously the MPs decide the final two, I think it could be Sunak and Mordaunt in the final two. And just looking at the way that they're both polling at the moment, we could end up with a Mordaunt as PM, God forbid. But if that does happen, then you can kiss the economy goodbye, that's for sure.
Thank you very much for watching. Like the video, subscribe. The meeting's going to end. Bye.
Bye-bye.